Welcome back to Bricks and Buckets, Season 3, Episode 11. Of course, I'm Nico.
And I'm Bono.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, welcome back. Couple episodes off.
Yeah, took a little hiatus. Had some personal business to take care of.
It seems like the theme is right when we're about to record, just whoever's in the studio just gets thrown on top. So,
fair enough.
welcome back. Not much news. Obviously, it is playoff seasons. We're going to be going through a lot. But the biggest thing, Woj tweeting it out at, maybe 3 minutes ago, saying, quote, based on Ben Simmons' progress in practice this week and anticipation of him further accelerating in the coming days, Game 4 versus Boston on Monday is looming as a realistic target for his Brooklyn debut. At the same time, Woj said that he didn't completely rule out Game 3. Now, I don't know if the opinion here is shared, but my take on this is, you know what, maybe a couple days ago we learned that Simmons was just barely doing, one-on-zeros, and you're telling me by early next week this man could be making his debut for a brand new team in the middle of a playoff series? I just don't trust Simmons coming back.
Yeah, I think that Ben Simmons arguably could make the Nets worse coming back. Not because he's a bad player or anything. I'm not going to get here and hate on Ben Simmons. But I think that when you add a player like Ben Simmons who needs the ball in his hands to at least play make, and it's the first time that he's playing with superstars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I just don't see how it's going to gel well, especially when you throw it in such a high-pressure playoff series where there's really no room for error. There was no room for error in that Game 1.
Ironically, there was so much error, though.
So much error, but no room for it in that Game 1, clearly.
Honestly, I just think that if you put Ben Simmons in there, of course, it does make the team better defensively. Realistically, if he gets hurt the second he gets on, that's a fat loss.
At the same time, though, I think the expectation is that if he does return, that he's maybe playing 10, 15 minutes. And they really, I think it was Stephen A. that was saying, all he needs to do is just get out there, play defense, and grab rebounds. Which, if he needs to do that, that's not a problem. But you're also talking about, as you said, he's never played with KD and Kyrie. And half of Ben Simmons' game is having the ball in his hands.
It'll be 5-on-4 on offense if Ben Simmons is literally not taking the ball up. It'll be 5-on-4 on offense. Because what's he going to do standing up by the three-point line?
I would say, though, granted, if he's there just to play defense and rebound, and you've got him and Andre Drummond in that front court, and you got KD and Kyrie on that court as well, that's pretty good. We saw down the stretch that it was Kyrie, and granted, KD was off. But that's all they need on offense, especially in the playoffs. You're just going to go to the guy that can get you the bucket no matter what.
I gotta say, if Ben Simmons theoretically, I have low hopes for Ben Simmons coming back. If theoretically he were to return, that's gonna just throw off the dynamic of that. Because he's not an offensive shooter when on a team that is purely mainly shooter based.
And Andre Drummond.
Yeah, and that man.
The thing is,
you got
throw
Claxton,
up deuces.
You got Claxton playing 31 minutes off the bench, and Drummond's our starting center. He's supposed to be our big presence. I don't know, but it's kind of like you got to change up your whole offensive game plan and reform it off of everything you've known the entire season just because Ben Simmons is a slasher. So I think even if he were to come back defensively, maybe if
he says you were part of this team.
I'm named after the team. No, I would say even if he were to come back, it's not defensively maybe he adds a presence. He's not going to be 100% ready to play full speed yet, but offensively not much. I don't think not much would change at all. So
I don't think he'd be in there offensively though. I feel like in your high pressure situations where it's the last 5 minutes of a game, I don't think he's going to be in. But then again, if they need a stop, I think at that point you can rely on him. But scoring wise, that's throw it out the window. He should not be on the court. He should sit on the bench, stay home. I just don't think
we share the same thoughts across the table.
Yeah.
We all don't know what to expect from him, but we do think that throwing him in the lineup, what seems like could be a rush, could create some issues both chemistry wise and just overall. You're throwing him in arguably you're playing the Celtics, game 1 of the first series of the playoffs. Kind of crazy. I personally don't think it's going to happen. If he does play, that's going to be a big surprise. But I want to get back to the thing we're named after, the thing that ironically the last 2 episodes I think we've taken a break on for the first time in Bricks and Buckets history, and that's the Bricks and Buckets segment. I think we should just go around the table. Start with Bono over here. Who is? Do you want to go brick or bucket first, sir?
It's called bricks and buckets for a reason. You
Who's
always start
cold?
with brick. Who's cold? A guy that shouldn't have been an all-star 2 years ago. Mike Conley.
Jumping right into it.
Yeah, 6.5 points per game in the playoffs. Granted, it's only 2 games, but of course, 6.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Funny enough for a 6'2" person. 31% from field, 20% from 3. Inefficient, not scoring, not good at facilitating. There's no
Regression.
not a good defensive player as well. So it's just all around not good for them. In his first game, 4 turnovers. Both games averaging 29 minutes per game. It's not good, especially on a Utah team that has found
Disgruntled?
that's been a little bit disgruntled and honestly doesn't really have an identity right now.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Conley, after his first year in Utah being disappointing, comes back, gets an all-star that you said was undeserved. I remember we were preaching about De'Aaron Fox last year. And, now he has his career low in points since his age 23 season. And that's the regular season, of course. All the bricks and buckets, they're going to be based on maybe 1 to 2 games at most if we're talking playoffs. But that Jazz team has looked very shaky. And he's definitely part of that reason. I know we're going to talk about a quick recap of what's been going on in the playoffs, but just to touch on it briefly, I mean, for the Mavericks to get a win without Luka on the court, that speaks for itself.
Huge. Absolutely massive for that team.
You're facing a fully healthy Jazz team, and they were able to get by. The Mavericks were able to get by. So if Luka's ready for Game 3, I mean, it's hard to say that Utah has a chance here. But let's throw to your bucket now.
Why would we do that?
I thought we were just going to. Do you want to go all bricks first?
Oh, we go all bricks first.
All right,
like always.
all right.
Yeah, no, that's
Maybe
fair.
I'm out of the touch. It's been a
You
couple,
are.
been a couple weeks.
Don't know how
Why
to,
would we do
didn't
that?
know how
he
to
says.
set at the table earlier. Didn't know what he's doing right now. Really,
Why would
Oh,
really
do that?
throwing us.
Didn't have the morning coffee today.
All right.
Fair. So I'll pick it up. I got Will Barton. I mean, man's not like a bona fide anything, but he is the Nuggets starting small forward for the time being, especially since Michael Porter Jr. has been out. That first game against Golden State, you're playing a team that's you got to go tit for tat for shooting. You already had Jokic a little bit off. I mean, he went 0 for 4 from 3, but otherwise, Will Barton went 5 for 15. You need reliable scorers, and he was not that, especially for that first game. The Nuggets fell apart all around in that entire game. But you give a guy 31 minutes, you expect him to be able to do something with that. I mean, all I know Will Barton for truly is from that 2016 dunk contest. But again, this guy is your starter. You expect him to do more. He could not deliver.
Funny thing about the dunk contest, though. I remember him saying, "Yeah, they call me Will the Thrill," and then whoever was commentating, I think it was Chuck or it was Shaq or whoever. They're like, "I've never heard anyone call him that ever."
Hey, Basketball Reference, they just have him as Thrill. Ironically, I mean, with Will Barton, he had a very good game 1. When you're talking about 10 for 18 from the field, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, threw out a block there too, and he had 24 points, granted 3 turnovers. But as you said in game 2, really wasn't it.
Yep.
Going to 12 points there, and it's weird because on a Nuggets team that when fully healthy is pretty crazy when you realize that you got Jamal Murray, Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr., and yet Will Barton has been there the whole time. I think this year he set the record for, I believe it was 3-pointers made in Nuggets history. He's been there for a while, and it's just funny. Just like when you need him to do something, that would he has provided. Cold in game 2, but I'm not completely worried. I also do think the Warriors look very good right now.
Yeah, especially with Steph coming off the bench because of his injury. But he still played 23 minutes, put up 34 points. Again, their team is full of shooters, slashers. It's kind of, they have actually like the perfect roster to me. But, you expect, the Nuggets, they got to hit their shots because otherwise, well,
It's not looking good.
it's not looking good.
I don't know if I completely blame the Nuggets or just the Warriors are on a new level
I
right
blame
now.
injuries and that the Warriors are virtually unstoppable.
I like how, granted, since we're doing playoffs, bricks and buckets, that we're touching upon every series as we go in very little detail, and the trend's going to continue because for my bucket, granted it's only 1 game, but I think the mishap that was made was pretty important. That's
Your bucket?
did I say bucket?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so off. I am so
I knew
off.
it was
brick.
not about
All right,
that.
all right.
My brick. I'm talking about Kevin Durant. Let me cut to the chase here. Kevin Durant, granted, 23 points, 9 for 24 from the field, tough. 6 turnovers, tough. And we were all watching that game. You saw that fourth quarter. The Nets found a little bit of a lead. They had the wiggle room. Quick transition play. They threw it to KD. Transition 3. That was the biggest miss of the game.
Horrible look. I mean, then again, you had the shot clock winding down, but the Celtics were playing lockdown defense there. So
That game, for how close it was, it's scary if you think about it as a Boston fan. You were crazy at the end of it. You got the buzzer beater layup by Tatum. You won the game by 1 point. But if you're looking at it, you were at home, and KD was off.
Yeah.
That was like, to only win by 1. That's incredibly scary. Does it show that they really do need Rob Williams? Maybe, but at the same time, when you're talking about a series that you mentioned earlier, where there's not much errors to be made, there's no room for it. And that first quarter from both teams was terrible. It was a lot of turnovers, and I felt like the Celtics, they capitalized somewhat, but if they really did capitalize on those turnovers, the game wouldn't have been that much of a, not heartbreaker, but that stressful towards the end.
the theme of that game was fouls. Like every single quarter, within like 2 or 3 minutes, each or one or both of the teams was in the bonus. Like, you look, Tatum had 12 free throws taken that game. Kyrie had not, but you got to add it up. Like, the Nets went 19 for 24 from free throws. So did the Celtics. Wow. But I mean, there was just a lot of unnecessary fouls that resulted in turnovers and extra points for both teams, which is why that was so close. Because since Kevin Durant was so off, take away some of these free throws, that's a much different game.
And, I mean, I don't want to spoil a bucket, so I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know what the buckets are looking like, but Kyrie definitely put the Nets on his back that game. But to throw us to our final brick, Rob, who's on the board?
I'm going to go with my previous bucket at one point, and I'm going to say, once again, just one game, but DeMar DeRozan, anytime that your team fails to put up 90 points in a playoff game and you are the top scorer on that team, there's probably something wrong, especially when you shoot 24% from the field in a playoff game for DeMar DeRozan. I mean, that's just completely unacceptable to me. How you take 25 shots and you only make 6 of them. If you're the Bulls, you need DeMar DeRozan, obviously, to provide that volume scoring. Not necessarily from 3. That's obviously not his thing. I mean, he did shoot 0% from 3 on 2 looks in that game. But you need him to be able to give you a clean 25 to 35 every single night, especially if you want a chance against Giannis and the Bucks. And he was just very unable to do that. So he's going to be my brick for now until he turns it around.
That Bulls team, as dominant as they were in the regular season, we saw them start to fall apart, and we mentioned how no Lonzo is going to be a big blunder to this team. And I mean, when you're looking at that game, it was close down the stretch for a little bit.
It was, and that's what I'm saying. If DeMar DeRozan was able to hit a couple of those mid-range jumpers that he always hits, that game goes to the Bulls. They steal game 1, but he was really unable to do much of anything. I mean, 6 shots on 25 attempts. That's pretty awful.
I love playoff basketball solely for the reason that it just becomes it hits a time at some points where it's both teams just saying, going to their star and just trying to let them do everything. I mean, Devin Booker against the Pelicans last night, 30 points in 3 quarters.
Right.
He was going crazy. You saw Tatum down the stretch with Boston. You saw, Giannis doing his thing for the Bucks in a low-scoring game, but it just shows that DeMar, out of everyone, the leading scorer on that team in the regular season, did not come to play on a Bulls team that, like I said, at one point was looked at so highly, now is seen as a easy first-round exit.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like I said, facing Milwaukee, that's a tough matchup.
They will be. Milwaukee will sweep them.
Full sweep? Do we
Yep,
think gentlemen
full
sweep?
sweep.
Anybody think the Bulls get a game?
Maybe.
I think potentially, but
Not more than 1.
yeah, not
No,
more
they're
than
losing
one.
the first, but I don't know if they get swept, but we'll see.
Let's make it a snake draft. Rob, back to you for your bucket.
Oh, back to me for the bucket. Just like that. My bucket's going to be Jalen Brunson. Dropped 41, I believe it was yesterday, maybe the day before, on the Utah Jazz with no Luka Doncic. Jalen Brunson's a free agent at the end of the season, and it's performances like this that are really going to get him paid. Somebody is going to overpay for Jalen Brunson. He's been a sneaky good player for a long time. Obviously, this was his best offensive season of his career, really just overall season. So I guess I could call him a bucket for the entire season in general. But a 41-point playoff game with his team down 1-0, that showed real leadership, real scoring ability, obviously. And that's what's going to get him paid this offseason. So Jalen Brunson is my bucket.
Trying to think of I think right now in the NBA, I think most teams have a pretty set idea at point guard. They might not have a stud, but you've got someone there that you're building on. Thinking about trying, just realizing who would throw money at Brunson. I mean, if I don't know the complete details of Mike Conley's contract, but you're talking about bringing a point guard over to Utah in that series where he's cooking you right now. That's probably an interesting mix there.
I think Conley's got a big contract, doesn't he?
I don't know when it's up,
Didn't he just re-sign for a while?
I hope not.
Honestly, not sure.
I
but
think he did.
I feel like I feel like I can name at least 5 teams
Detroit?
that could take.
Detroit.
No,
Not with Cade.
not with Cade.
Why not?
have
You
two-
can't see
you
them
have a
playing
combo
next to each
too?
other?
Conley's getting paid till 2024.
Orlando?
Like I could,
Brunson plays next
Orlando
to
just
Luka
got
right now.
Suggs.
Yeah,
Brunson- Brunson plays next to Luka. Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
If you're the Mavericks,
Listen,
now this is
I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks pull a Knicks move and be like, "Up, Jalen Brunson had one good game.
that we can do
One
that.
good
We can
game.
do that.
Let's sign him. Let's sign him to a 4-year deal, 100 mil.
you know
Like
how
just something stupid like that.
you know how crazy this would be if the Mavs signed Brunson and just made a sign and trade, flipped him to the Jazz for Gobert.
Wow. That would be crazy.
It makes sense.
They need to give him more, I think.
They
That would be crazy.
throw away some picks, but if you can match the salary as best you can,
Indiana maybe for Jalen Brunson.
Oklahoma City was shy. I don't know.
They
Like,
got
who
a
do
lot
you-
of guards down there.
For
Yeah,
Utah,
Giddy's a beast.
who do you think's first to leave?
In Utah,
If
Donovan Mitchell.
I mean,
think-
Gobert's getting all the fingers pointed at
I
him
think
right
it's
now.
Donovan
Yeah, I
Mitchell.
think Mitchell's the first one to be like, all right, I'm out.
Well, everyone's been before all this started. Everyone's saying that he was going to be the next disgruntled superstar. Big Knicks fan.
Big Mets fan.
I mean, what does that mean? What does that
I
mean?
mean, send him to New York.
Would it
Send
be
him-
crazy to
s-
think that the Lakers would get rid of Russ to try
To
get-
what?
to maybe acquire Jalen Brunson and have him run it? Because I'm sorry, you look at the season Westbrook had this year. That man had a 3-minute highlight reel of him just hitting the side of every backboard on every
Oh my
single
God!
pull-up.
We gotta keep going.
Okay.
I can't listen to
We
Westbrook
gotta keep
slander.
going. No
My,
Westbrook slander.
My bucket, going to the Pelicans, a team that I did not expect to be here because the Clippers did disappoint. I mean, granted that was without Paul George, but Brandon Ingram has really shown off this year in 2 playoff games. Game 1 against the Suns wasn't too great, 6 for 17. However, we saw what he did in the play-in, and the Pelicans got a win on the Suns team that had the most regular season wins in franchise history. Drops 37, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 13 for 21 from the field. Only 3 threes attempted. I don't know if you guys were watching these games. Brandon Ingram from the mid-range is so cold right now. It is crazy.
What DeMar DeRozan should be.
Yeah, but he's got a 3 on him. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. Ingram taking that big step is now, obviously Zion's not playing. You're thinking about how different this series could be if you have a healthy Zion. Then that
yeah.
really changes things.
Who's the face of the Pelicans? Whose team is it in New Orleans?
Right now, it's Ingram's.
Is it over CJ?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, he's been
CJ's
there the
always going to
longest.
look at the number 2.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, granted, you can say that CJ McCollum is better than Brandon Ingram. I still think it's close.
He's balled out since he came to New Orleans.
God,
But-
his nicknames are very strange, man. Slenderman, Tiny Dog.
I know Slenderman.
I've heard Slender.
Tiny
I've
dog.
Never heard
Tiny
Tiny dog.
dog. But McCollum, I think, is always known as a 2. And Ingram, granted, this dude's been in the league for how many years, and he's only 24? It's kind of like Devin Booker.
6, something like that.
Yeah, he played when he was 19, back in 2016. And he's really only gotten better. I can't wait to see Zion next to him, but I got to shout out Brandon Ingram for how he played against the Suns.
Yeah. Well, going to my bucket, I got Kyrie Irving with all bias. No, but you gotta. There's playoff there's playoff the pressure of playoffs, of course, that that weighs in on every single player. But then Kyrie going back to Boston in such a hostile atmosphere, he knows what he did when he left. Hearing all the boos the entire game, hearing it all from the courtside. We saw he got fined $50,000 for flipping off a fan. But for him to still put the entire Nets organization on his back and drop 39, going 12 for 20, 6% from three-point, hit all 9 free throws. It kind of showed, how cold-blooded he is. Like he when he needs to lock in, he locks in. Granted, this actually also adds to the fact that, he hasn't played that much this year because of the stupid COVID vaccine thing, which, we would be in a much better seed if that wasn't a thing, but that's besides the point.
Stupid COVID vaccine.
I mean, like we've
Gosh darn
talked
it,
about
help.
this before, where I think listing off players. Personally, I put Kyrie as a top 10 player if if he could play.
It's this.
If he could play.
I sound like a broken record, but in the NBA, everyone forgets about guys. Like Kawhi went down, everyone forgot how good Kawhi was. Then he won the ring with Toronto. It's the same thing. I mean, Kyrie is still at minimum. I mean, what do you say minimum? Top 5 point guard, and you could, and depending on the.
That's easy.
Dude, it's probably like top 3.
I want to say top 3, but I think
it's
it's
guaranteed top 3.
Steph,
So
Luka.
who do you got as your top 3 then?
Probably.
Who's right under him?
I think it depends on where you put Luka. If you
Yeah,
put
I mean,
him at,
Steph's
if you
at
put him
1.
at the 2, then I
Luka's
think
a 1.
Really?
it depends. I
I-
mean, like when you have Jalen Brunson
put him
playing
at-
off. Like if you have Luka at the 1, he's second. If you have Luka at the 2, Kyrie is second. That's how I see it.
Where do you put James Harden? At the 1 or the 2?
Oh God.
I think it's the same thing, but I would put him at
He's playing the 1 right
4.
now.
I would.
Oh,
I would,
you'd put Kyrie over James Harden, just in general.
Yes.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, Kyrie's
Yeah,
definitely
I
over
think
James
that's
Harden.
fair. All right, so what about statistically they're pretty close. John Morant?
No way. Give me
Not
Kyrie.
yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Too early.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Too early.
Yeah, so we can call him top 3 with a decent following behind him. But yeah, I mean, you just spit out the hot take. Keep it going with your bucket now.
Top 5 point guard in the league right now, Chris Paul. Can't go wrong. Last game he wasn't the most efficient, but the game before, 30 points with 19 points in the fourth quarter. I believe he scored or assisted 23 of the last 23 points.
23 and a half, 12 assists right now in 2 games.
In 2 games, yeah, shooting 58% or something like that. And it's crazy because he's the oldest. Right now, he's the oldest player to score 30 points or over 30 points and over 10 assists in a game in the playoffs.
36 years old.
36 and like 200 and some days, whatever it is. But he's been amazing. Can't really go wrong. It shows that he makes such a big impact on the team because Devin Booker's killing it. DeAndre Ayton is still playing amazing. I think this team in general is put together so well that whoever you name off there, as long as it's not Jay Crowder, can be a bucket.
No,
Why can't it be
I
Jay
dropped
Crowder?
45 points on Nick Storlazzi's head with Jay Crowder in
Jay
the game at 2K.
Jay Crowder had a 1-1-1. Don't forget that as a starter.
I saw
Why
that.
can't Jay Crowder be a bucket? Come on now.
I mean, last game I think he had 5 points, or was it 2 games ago?
He
I
could be
think-
He is such a role player. Like,
Yeah, he could be a bucket. He could drop
But I mean,
even 20.
you have Chris Paul at the 1. You got Devin Booker at the 2. 2 certified buckets. You got Jay Crowder, and then you got Mikal Bridges, who defensively amazing player, offensively
pretty solid.
pretty solid, no complaints there. And then you got DeAndre Ayton, one of the top young centers in the league. I think you can't go wrong. And then you have 6th Man of the Year candidate Cam Johnson. Like I think.
JaVale McGee. You forgot to mention JaVale McGee.
Oh yeah. And
The free
what's
throw
the name?
dunk king.
Campaign.
Let me find this guy. You got Campaign.
They
Cam
got Bismack
Johnson?
Biombo,
Ish.
Alfred
What's his name?
Payton. How
Ish.
can you
Alfred
Dude, I
the
got one
legend.
memory of Bismack Biombo's when he took that corner 3 for the Hornets, and the
Ish-
announcer's like,
Ish
"Oh my
Wainwright.
goodness," because that went like maybe 5 feet.
Hey, I'm telling you, that team would be so much better if Dario Saric was healthy.
I hate Dario
You know,
Saric
Rob-
with a passion.
When
I'm
Rob
sorry.
first got on the podcast and we were talking about Aiden, he said something that I've not been able to forget,
I remember this.
and it's DeAndre Ayton is
A free
he
agent.
didn't get extended,
He's a free agent.
and we thought of Portland as an idea. Like this Suns team built really well right now, but you got to secure your center, else like what are they doing?
I have no idea.
But
Bismack
I
Biombo.
think it's. Oh, sorry. Hold on. There you go. I think it's if you win now, who cares? If you win this
Why
year.
not win this year and next year and just lock him up?
If you win this year, who cares? Because I think you can definitely bring in a name that could potentially be better than DeAndre Ayton
I mean,
in this
who?
moment right now.
I mean, are you,
I'm not sure.
free agency is
I-
all
I-
guards.
I don't know who the free agents are this year. Gonna be honest with you.
John Wall.
he's not even
Yeah,
24.
let's bring in John Wall.
17
Um,
points, 10 rebounds. He's good defensively down low.
Former #1 overall pick at
I mean,
Arizona.
I definitely think they should re-sign him. But I think if they win,
I mean, yeah, you can't just start JaVale.
I think if they win,
Thad Young.
you don't necessarily like.
Nurkic is a free agent.
I would say Nurkic.
You got to bring him back. You can't.
Nurkic is a downgrade.
You got to bring him back.
Harold.
Stick it with this team here. You know, the Pelicans took game 2 by surprise. What do you think this is going to? Do you think this is a Suns in 6? Do you
Yeah.
think it's less
5
than
or
that?
6. 5 or 6.
Five, 6.
I think 5.
Definitely not 7, but 5 or 6. there's definitely a chance that they could take another game. Just how, of course, Brandon Ingram has been playing. Same thing with CJ McCollum. But of course, last game they dealt with inefficiency problems, and frankly, I think it's just a short slump that they're gonna get out of. There's no real issue with the team right now. It's just I think it's just a one-game thing. One or two games.
Let's go around. So, right now with the series tied 1-1, who do you think is coming out? How many games? We'll go around starting Bono all the way to Rob.
I mean, I already said mine.
In
5.
Phoenix? Yeah.
Phoenix in 5?
Phoenix in
5
5
or
or
6.
I say Phoenix in 5.
I say go 6. I think Ingram can take one more at least.
That's whatever. Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're saying.
But also, for what I've talked about the Suns, this series could go to 7. Could go to 7. In an extreme scenario.
You need, in a very
everything would have to go New
I don't know
Orleans
if it
way.
can.
You need like DeAndre Ayton to get hurt.
Is this because you're still
Yeah.
stuck in that the
Booker.
Phoenix Suns are a
You need
Mickey Mouse
Booker.
ring?
You know how Thanos in Infinity War when he says like
why are
you
we
know
bringing up
because
Thanos?
just listen like you know how he like Iron Man punches him and he bleeds a little bit and he's like and then it like was a throwback to Iron Man 2 and he said like everyone's not scared of a god if he can bleed or whatever. Like if the Pelicans can take a game from the Suns, that shows how good the Suns team really is.
Or does it show how good the Pelicans are?
Goes both ways.
The Pelicans started the season like 0-10, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
their
But then
last
they got
72
CJ.
games, they were pretty decent, and then they got CJ. They're probably one of the better 8 seeds that we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years.
That's
I think it
pretty
says.
fair.
I think the Pelicans winning says more about the Pelicans than it does the Suns.
I'm staring at this free agent list and it's scaring me because Kyrie Irving is a player option.
He's not going anywhere. Dallas, Utah, we talked about it before. I honestly think at this point now it's Dallas at 5.
Dallas and 5.
Dallas and
No,
5.
I can't get behind
I
that.
gotta say.
I think you can go to 7. I think
Yeah.
you can go to
Give me
7.
Dallas and 7.
But I think realistically Dallas in 6.
I think that even if Luka returns, the Jazz still have a chance to win the series, just
Yeah.
because they should beat the Mavericks. They're a better team than the Mavericks.
We've seen Utah just fail in the playoffs before.
Right. Give me Dallas and 7, but the Jazz are more talented. I mean, look at the Jazz top 3, and then look at the Mavs top 3.
They've
I
got
think
on
it's-
paper it looks like it should be Utah,
I
but
think
Dallas-
it's the
Dallas is
same
running-
issue though that we've been talking about before, where like there's just disgruntled stars and the ball's not going around enough. As we saw, what's that weird stat? Like Donovan Mitchell has more of a chance of turning the ball over than passing it to Rudy Gobert.
yeah.
Like it's
But did you also see like in that last game, Donovan Mitchell threw him I think at least 3 alley-oops and Gobert couldn't put him in. Hit the back of the rim, off the backboard, like
But that's not gonna happen all the time. Like,
yeah, I mean I get that, but you're talking about a team that already, Brunson went off. The Mavericks took a game they weren't supposed to win. There's going into this playoff series, there was already so much heat on Rudy Gobert. Now they're losing. Mike Conley's not playing well. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's clearly upset, saying that's the same thing over and over again. The media is really pushing this narrative that the Jazz are upset, and now you're talking about Brunson and that momentum with the Mavericks. This just could all flip, and even though it looks like it's the Jazz on paper, like I don't see them coming out of this.
frankly, I just see that like out of every matchup, I feel like this is one of the more even ones. Like I don't really see anyone having like a huge upper hand or anything like that. Of course, with Luka being down, like you would think that the Mavericks are not gonna take anything, but then again, Jalen Brunson stepped his game up with
But
41
I wouldn't
points.
I wouldn't like expect many more games like that from Jalen Brunson. Like I feel like that was maybe the one 40-point game we'll see from him this.
Yeah, but then again, at the same time, you like what was it in the bubble?
That was
where-
the bubble though. TJ Warren was
I
God
get
in the
Yeah,
that.
bubble.
we're also
Yeah,
getting
look
Luka
at
back,
that.
so Jalen Brunson's not going to be able to take that many amount of
They're-
shots,
they're
but we're
getting
going to get
Luka
40
back,
from
but
Luka.
At the same time, like there's a good chance that some random player is gonna, not necessarily random,
Trey
but
Burke.
some player is gonna step up, like Jamal Murray did of course in the bubble, and TJ Warren did in the bubble.
So are we
Spencer
saying-
Dinwiddie could be that guy.
Are we saying Royce O'Neal 20 and 10 tomorrow night?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean,
2010 and 10.
I mean, I did say Jamal Murray, who is a star in that team, but like I think that
On what team?
the Nuggets, like I just
I was going to say, wait, what are we talking about? I lost.
like I just think that Jalen Brunson has the potential to not necessarily take over a game, but do some damage where he could potentially bring that team together.
All right. We've taken up a lot of time already, so we still have 6 series to go through. The way we're going to do it, simple as that. We're just going to go around the table. You're going to give me one sentence on why you think the series is going to go that way. We'll flip it around to Rob this time. Starting with the Warriors, Nuggets. Warriors up 2-0. What's happening and why?
Give me Warriors in 5 because the new lineup, I forget what they call it. Somebody definitely knows. They just came up with a nickname for it.
Ty from the studio. Scream it louder.
PTSD.
PTSD, yes. It's Poole, Steph, Thompson, and Draymond.
Yeah.
PTSD.
Tough. Draymond in there. What?
It's
Oh,
tough.
that's the wrong order, but those are the 4. Yeah, the Warriors. Give me Warriors in 5. Jokic steals the game, but the Warriors are better.
I couldn't agree more. Warriors in 5. They look scary, and they're still my favorites to come out of the West.
Warriors in 4. I don't.
Hell
think-
yeah. I love it.
I don't think Jokic is
love
gonna
it.
will the entire Denver Nuggets roster, especially with that.
With Will Barton being such
With
a
Will
brick.
Barton and Jeff Green's a starter, like I can't see them being able to stop. Once Steph's back and the starting rotation gets more minutes. Rotation, what? Wrong sport, my bad. But no.
Warriors in 4.
Yeah,
Warriors in 4.
in 4. There we go.
Warriors in 6.
'Kay.
I feel like the Nuggets have the potential to take a few.
All right, keep the snake draft going. Memphis and Minnesota tied at 1.
Oh, I really want to say Minnesota, but realistically, it's Memphis in 5 or 6.
I got Memphis in 6.
I say Memphis in 7.
I'm also Memphis in 7.
I think this series is very close. I think it's really either way, and I think the Grizzlies are a better team. But every series they're gonna.
I want to see the Timberwolves move on.
I
Every,
don't care.
Bro, I need Pat Bev to be just shut down in the first.
every series the
Oh, I-
Grizzlies are gonna play in.
I got a
it's
good
gonna go
start
7.
bench cut later.
Yeah, I'm on Memphis in 7 as well.
All
Let's
right.
move on to the East.
East, Miami, Atlanta. Miami up 2-0. Rob.
Miami in 7. I think
Wow.
they go back to the A, and I think that Trae Young balls out. I think the series is still up for grabs. I was on the record saying that I think Atlanta's going to win this series in the beginning. Then Clint Capella went down. Not great for my take, but I got to stick with it. I think that Clint Capella comes back maybe in the later rounds of this game. If Trae Young can steal a game or 2 in the A, now we're really looking at a series. So give me Miami in 7. I'll change it back, or I'll stick with it. Atlanta in 7.
Miami. I mean, we know Atlanta already is one of the worst defensive teams. They lost Capella. Miami in 5. I think Trae steals.
Atlanta in 7.
I think Trae's gonna steal a game at home. I think they could maybe push it to 6, but their defense is terrible. Simple as that.
Yeah,
Miami in 5.
I gotta go with that too. Miami in 5, simply just because everything.
Take the broom out.
Atlanta in 7. Atlanta in
Take
7.
the broom out. Miami in 4.
No, Atlanta in 7.
Jimmy
Guys,
Buckets,
this is the Twitter clip.
Jimmy Buckets playing like an absolute dog, both offensively and defensively. Tyler Hero, not so.
Atlanta in 7.
He's been okay, but I think the whole team has looked so much better than
We gotta
Atlanta.
get Colin Atwood at this.
Atlanta in 7.
I-
When it happens,
Miami
remember
in
this. Atlanta in 7.
All right, Bono. Philly's up 2-0.
Philly in 4.
Get the brooms out again.
Get the brooms
2
out again.
sweeps. What about you, Brooklyn?
Philly in 4. Pascal Siakam is he aspires to be Kawhi too much.
I'm gonna stick with it. I think that Philly this has been the one series where it's looked like it's just been a complete one-sided affair. I gotta say Philly in 4.
I'll go Philly in 5. I think Toronto wins one.
I additionally will say, Nico over here said, "Oh, free throws and fouls won't matter in the playoffs." Let's see how many.
They're still
free
getting a
throws
lot.
They took.
They're still getting a
That's
lot.
what I'm saying.
Getting
That's
a ton.
exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
it matters in the game.
We'll see how many they get as they continue. But
Milwaukee in 4.
Milwaukee in 4.
No context needed.
You know what? After game 1, I think there's a little hope Chicago can at least squeeze one out. I'll say Milwaukee in 5. Gentlemen sweep.
Yeah, I got Milwaukee in 5. I think DeMar will turn up one game.
Guess what I'm gonna say?
Bring out the brooms.
Bring out the brooms.
Yep. Milwaukee in 4.
Milwaukee in 4.
Just don't say.
All
that
right.
for the
Yeah, I
next-
was gonna say final.
Don't say that for the next series.
The final series, Bono. Boston up 1. They're going tonight. What's happening?
I'm kidding.
Break out the.
Bring out the
I think-
brooms.
In the East, this is the most even series.
Yeah.
And I think that the Celtics will go all the way, but in 7.
Come back to me. No, man. This is all gonna depend on. I mean, I guess we're counting Ben Simmons out right now, but in any world where he does return, that could shake things up. I'm gonna go.
You were just saying it might not be a good thing if he returns. We were talking a half hour ago.
Give me a second. This is a tough one because I don't want to go.
You're the Nets fan. We'll come back to you. Give you some time. I'm gonna say Boston in 6. I think it really could go 7. Honestly, for my stress levels with exams coming up, I just really hope it doesn't go to 7. Boston just really needs to take this. Like, if they can get the first two, I will be so confident. If the series, if Brooklyn takes the game tonight, I'll be worried. Ideally, it's Boston in 6. Not surprised if it goes to 7. Hell, if it does go to 7, I think I might even switch to the Nets.
I just think it's scarier if you're going to.
If you're in a game
Brooklyn.
7 against.
Going to Brooklyn, it's a very interesting atmosphere. Like I don't know if Boston has the mental strength.
Rob, what do you feel?
I'll take Boston in 7 as well. I don't think, no matter who wins the series, I don't think it's any less than 7 games.
I gotta go Brooklyn in 7, not just because I'm the Nets fan. I don't think KD is gonna have many more games like that this series where he just completely loses it. And I think Kyrie's gonna keep up this play, especially now that, of course, the vaccine thing is lifted, so he can play in Boston. And you already saw how he played in Boston, but Brooklyn 7.
All right. And to wrap up the episode, Rob threw out this idea he saw on Twitter. It's 4 guys. So we can either A, cut 2. I think we should just cut 2 of them just to make it that more intense. A start bench cut with 4. I think it was Anthony Edwards,
Yep.
Jordan Poole.
Yep.
Gonna have to help me out with the
Tyler
other 2.
Hero and Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
For me, we're
Yeah,
cutting 2.
Cut 2, you
Okay.
start.
Oh, cutting 2? Okay. I am going to cut Tyler Hero first and then Jordan Poole. And I'm going to keep Tyrese Maxey and I'm going to keep Anthony Edwards.
Who's starting?
Ant's starting for now. And Maxey is coming off the bench. I've been a huge Tyrese Maxey guy from Kentucky. I hated when Philly took him, as my hatred for Philly boils every single second of every single
We
day.
all got one of those.
But we knew, Tyrese Maxey should not have fallen as far as he did in the draft, and when he did, it was just
Kentucky
bad
makes
news.
guards.
Yeah, they do. So I'm gonna keep Tyrese Maxey because that's my guy.
I'm going to cut Jordan Poole first,
Okay.
then Tyler Hero.
Okay.
I'm gonna bench Ant, and I'm starting Tyrese Maxey.
I love it. I love the Maxey love.
I think if I'm comparing the two of them, I just think Maxey is way more consistent. There are definitely games where Edwards is off, and granted he's got D'Lo and Cat to pick him up, but Maxey's literally he's turned himself into that third star over Tobias Harris. So for me, Maxey's starting.
I'm gonna cut Tyler Hero twice, and then this is gonna be a shock. I'm gonna cut Anthony Edwards.
Ooh. We are really riding Jordan
Because
Poole. We got Ty in the studio absurd over this one.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Jordan Poole, especially because he just really inserted himself into this Warriors team. He's a very reliable shooter, especially in the playoffs right now. Jeez, but
he's got the shortest resume out of them all in this. I don't know if I can.
I believe in underdogs, and then Tyrese Maxey already showing all of his potential. It's just Tyrese Maxey.
All right, Bono. I mean, it was set pretty low after that.
Bono's
that
gonna
take,
say
so.
something. He's gonna say something.
I
crazy.
think
Break out the brooms.
bring out the brooms. We're cutting all of them.
Julius Randle.
Yeah, we're starting
I
Julius
want
Randle.
Julius Randle and
Evan
Iguodala.
Fournier.
Julius Randle, Iguodala. Actually, we're starting 3. We got RJ Barrett.
And give me Ron Baker, Raymond
my
Felton,
God.
Ron Baker.
Ronnie
right, let's hear it.
Turioff. Okay, so I am cutting the person with the shortest resume, Jordan Poole.
Valid.
I'm also cutting Tyrese Maxey.
Bad decision.
Just because I'm benching Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year candidate right now.
20 points per game.
20 points per game. Sure, inefficient on a game-to-game basis, but as a season in a whole, stats-wise, he looks relatively efficient. And then I have to start, and I have to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, across the 4 of us, we all like Anthony Edwards. Actually, maybe not
almost
you.
all of us.
Maybe not you.
He's a great guy, I'm sure.
But that's going to do it for Bricks and Buckets this week. Make sure to follow our Twitter. That's going to be @BricksBuckets. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's also Bricks and Buckets.
And on Instagram @BricksandBuckets. And make sure to follow SCTV3 on YouTube as well, of course, SCTV3.
Of course, I'm Nico.
I'm Bono.
I am Rob.
And I'm Brooklyn.
And we will see you whenever's the next time we record. So,
How many of courses were in that
I
outro?
couldn't tell you.